up and not waiting to be spoken to. As long as she was going to be saddled with him for the entire summer, she didn't want to be constantly speaking for him or repeating the little he did mumble. In some ways, it was like being a translator, though Henry was very intelligent, one of those little boys adults take to right away, all cowlicks and dimpled cheeks. It's just that then, he was the shyest kid, always staring down at the ground when people were around, or when he had to make eye contact, blinking so rapidly they'd look away. She'd made up her mind. This was the summer to toughen Henry up. He had the brains. All he needed was confidence. And she'd recently found the perfect book in her father's study. Actually called Get Tough, it had been written in World War II by Major W.R. Fairbairn to teach hand-to-hand combat to British commandos and the U.S. Armed Forces. Every day, she and her brother practiced new holds and the various ways of securing a prisoner. So far, he had only thrown her once. He'd been getting tired of always being pinned, headlocked, and hip-thrown, so to keep him interested, she'd let him take her down in a stranglehold that left marks on her neck for days and got them both in trouble. Now, they practiced when no one else was home. Distracted, Charlie kept peering out into the yard. He gestured for her to put the plate somewhere. She set it on top of one of the junked radiators lining the stall. A shadow darkened the bright doorway. "Well, what do you know?" Charlie said. "I figured that was it." The entering man was broad-backed and unshaven. There were deep pocks on his forehead and nose. His dark hair was wild and bushy. A black dog trotted alongside. The man didn't look at Nellie and her brother, but the dog did. His stare was yellow. His thick tail wagged, but hesitantly. "Took longer'n I thought," the man said, "but it's done." "Hour and a half?" The man shrugged. "Pay what you think. I don't care." Bad move, she knew, seeing Charlie's grin. This sucker didn't know what he was up against. Last time here, she'd found a half-buried quarter out by the barn door, which Charlie made her hand over. He insisted it was his. He remembered dropping it in that exact spot. Probably why he had them call him Charlie. That way, he could treat them like everyone else. Henry raised his shaky hand for the dog to sniff. They'd been working on that, too, biding your time, letting the animal know you weren't a threat. The dog gave an eager yip, and Henry lurched back. "Boone," the man's deep voice warned. "Down." Down the dog dropped. "Scared of his own shadow, but pretty damn smart, I'll give him that," Charlie said. She thought he meant the dog, until he introduced them as his daughter's kids, no names given. The man nodded without meeting their gaze. "How do you do, sir? My name's Nellie Peck." She reached to shake hands. He stiffened back. "Pleased to meet you," he said with a curt nod, as if in pained acknowledgement of her far better manners. "And this is Henry, my brother, and he's actually very brave." She shot a look at her grandfather, who just chuckled, that way he had, under his breath to show he was right and could say more, but chose not to. "That's good." Turning his attention to Charlie, the man said he'd piled the copper piping behind the barn, but the door wouldn't open. The padlock was rusted. Charlie reached under the desk and gave him a spray can. WD-40. His answer to all life's problems, according to her mother. "Give it a soak and try later. And here." He handed over the dinner they'd brought. "Pot roast, hot off the range." His nose to the rim of the foil, the man actually sniffed the plate. She and Henry exchanged looks. Only animals sniffed their food, they'd been taught. "Go ahead, go on up before it gets cold," Charlie said. She couldn't wait to tell her mother that Charlie had given her delicious dinner away to some guy in the barn, and that he'd scurried up into the loft with it. "Oh, yeah, Max," her mother said. "So, he's still there, huh? Well, that..."